Okay, so here are the pieces cut out. I've already put the dress together. I used the Zig 2A glue pen, and I also used the Silhouette, I think it's called Pick Me Up stick. Yeah, the Pick Me Up stick. There's also a quick stick out there, the same thing. It has putty on the end, and it has like a little poker tool on the other side. And I just put it together. Now what you can do to give it a little bit of dimension is take some Distress ink, and I'm taking the sponge sugar and my mini ink blending tool and go over the sides of it just to give it a little bit of dimension. And if there's any cardstock, like the gingham paper on the sides, the core is white, so the sides would actually be white, and this will actually help it all blend together. And it just gives it a little bit of dimension. This is what it looks like. I don't know if you can really tell on camera. So we're going to put this off to the side because I think we're going to use the sponge sugar again. So now what I want to do is I want to take the crown and I want to go around the edges with a little bit of tea dye Distress ink. I'm using my mini ink blending tool. So what this is going to do, it's going to give it a little bit of definition because the crown is not too far off from her hair color. So I just want to give it a little bit of definition, and we're also probably going to use one of the either Wink of Luna or Wink of Stella brushes, probably the Wink of Stella brushes, to kind of give it a little bit of sparkle. But you can even kind of go over it a little bit to give it a little bit of a more golden color. So that just gives it a little bit more definition to the crown. And you'll be able to see that once it goes onto her head. You can definitely tell the difference now. It was blending in a little bit before. So we're going to do the Zig 2A glue pen on the back and the pickup stick. And I think I might actually put it on her hair sideways if this ever wanted to go in place, and it doesn't. Didn't want it to go straight on her head, wanted it to kind of go to the side. So, actually, maybe I will put the crown in the middle. Okay, I'll just put it right about there. So, next thing I want to do is put the hair on. So I'm just going to put a little line of glue around her head. I'm going to put the hair on. I don't want it to go down too far. I want to be able to have room for the eyes and the nose and the mouth, which we're going to draw on. So now this is what I want to show you. So I found videos before of how to draw faces on there. I'm not the best at it, but I'm going to attempt to do it. So the way I saw was you draw like a football. Try to make them as even as possible. A U for the nose. Kind of want to draw circles for the eyes. There. And then I'm going to take pink for the mouth. Draw lips and give it a little bit of definition. Go back over with the black pen and give her some lips. Then I'm going to go in with the blue pen for her eyes. And then if I have the white gel pen, which I think I have a white gel pen on my desk, you can go back in with a white gel pen and fill in the sides of the eyes, which I happen to have right here. Give the sides a little bit of white. So there's the princess's face, and now we are going to dress her. And just put some glue on her and then stick the dress on. So there's the princess. Now, for the background, since I know that I wanted to stick with the colors of the Pantone, I found this vellum and then this blue. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut them down to 8 inches long, 8 by 12. So since they're already 12, I'm going to cut them down by 4 inches. Because what that's going to do is make each section 4 inches long. Let me just measure and make sure this is actually 12 because I'm not sure that it is. And it is. So we are going to cut 4 inches of this off. Vellum. And we're going to see if this works. I've never done this before, so okay. So we've cut that paper down. We should do 4 inches, 4 inches, and 4 inches so that it will be a 12-inch page. And then here is the pattern that I'm going to put in the middle. I'm going to cut a little bit of it off. I'm going to make it a little bit smaller, but I'm going to cut the top of it off here. Oops. So now, to do this, we are going to use I'm going to use this cutting board to make sure that my pieces line up. So, take this off. So this lines up to 12. Actually do it this way. So this will line up at 4, this will line up at 12, and this will line up at 12. So now what I'm going to do is just put some tape in the middle just so that it's being held together. Like I said, I've never done this before, so let's just see how this works. This is my ATG tape. And this one is the photo safe one. So if you're going to actually do cardstock or use something with photos, you want to make sure that you use something that is acid free. That will keep your photos from aging, giving that little yellow effect that they tend to do when you don't. Okay. Now the vellum is a little bit shorter on the side. That's not really going to bother me. We'll see if we can figure out something to do with that. So now, let me take this and put this at an angle, because now this is the pink and the blue, and then in the middle, that's where the two colors meet and mix. So I think I want to cut this down. So this is 8.5 by 11. So I want to cut this down to maybe an 8 by 8, 8.5 by 8.5 square. Take it to 8.5. I know this is riveting footage. Again, this is designing on the fly. I didn't really have a plan for this going into it. So we're going to have this. So what I want to do is I want to add some of the pink into here because I feel like this is a mostly blue project. So we're going to take the Distress ink and we are going to sponge sugar and the mini ink blending tool, ink it up, and I'm just going to go around the edges with a little bit of that pink just to give it a little bit, again, of definition. If you go around the edges, if you notice, this is a white core, the back is white, so this is going to give it a little bit of definition. It's also going to bring a little bit of the pink in here. This is such a light pink that you kind of have to work with a heavy hand. You just want to make sure that you start off the paper, because if you start on the paper, sometimes you'll get those marks. Like if you're using this, especially if you're using the square blending tool, the first ones that came out, you'll notice that you get a lot more shapes on that, like an actual square image, than you do with these circles. The circles are actually, the mini ink blending tools are actually easier to use. So now we've gone around the edges, and I don't know that you can really see it in here, but in real life, it's pink around the edges, and then it actually kind of just blends in. So, I'm going to put this away, and then we are going to use this pink cardstock that we used for the dress, and I'm going to cut a small border to go around the picture. Framing your pictures with cardstock is always an option to make your picture stand out from the page, and it just gives it a nice finished look. So this picture is, well, it's almost 4 inches by 5.5. So we're going to do a little over, we're going to do 4 1/4, that way 1/8, and 5 and, is that 5.5? I may have cut some of these pictures down. That's 5 came to 5 1/4, so 5.5. To mat this photo. Again, we're going to use the ATG. That's photo safe. Zig 2A glue pens are also acid-free, so you don't have to worry about that. So you can use that on the same page as your layout. So here is the cardstock. So we're going to put this at a wonky angle. I'm going to put the picture in the middle, like this. And put the princess down at the bottom. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my clear Wink of Stella brush, and I'm going to go over the crown just to give it a little bit of shine. Let me see if you can actually pick any of that up in the camera. You can see the glitter in it. Just gives it a little bit of nice shine. Let me do that. Kind of wonky, off-centered. Okay, that's what I want to do. And then the very last thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to find some type of title for it, whether it's something that I cut out of the Cricut or something I write. Maybe one of my stamp sets has a good princess sentiment on it. I don't know yet. Haven't figured that out. Like most of my projects, I have an idea of what I want in my head, but it rarely turns out to be the way that I envisioned it. This is definitely not how I envisioned this piece, but I like it. I like the way that it came out. I like the way most of my stuff comes out. It's just not, it just isn't what I initially envisioned when I started the project. I don't know if you guys also feel that way, that you start something and then it turns out completely different than the vision that you had in your head. To finish off the project, I wanted to do my sentiment. So what I did was I took the Lawn Fawn Stitch Journaling card die and the arrows that were in here, and I used some washi tape to hold the arrows in place. First I cut it out of vellum, and then I took the arrows off of it and I cut the stitch journaling card out of the blue cardstock. So I'll show you what it looks like. Here's the journaling card. Then I used the sentiment from the Pure Innocence My Favorite Things line, and it is called Wedding Flower Girl. The sentiment is, little girls have a magic all their own, and I used My Favorite Things hybrid ink in Razzleberry. Oops. When I went to glue them down, I knew that by doing so, you would be able to see the glue through the vellum. So what I did was I took some rhinestones and put them on the corners, and that way it would help hold them down, hold the vellum down, but it would also hide the glue marks. And then in the cutouts on the journaling card, I don't know if you can see it, but there's a little bit of sparkle. So I just went in with my Wink of Stella pen, and I believe this one's white, and I just went in the little arrows and put a little bit of Wink of Stella on it. So it has a little bit of shine and bling because it is a girl's page, girl. So this is what the page looks like. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you have any comments or questions, please feel free to leave them below. If you haven't subscribed, go ahead and hit the subscribe button, and I will see you guys again soon for another project. Bye!